fellow traders, 'tis I, the Rumpled One. I know it's been a while, but I promised a couple of trading videos, and let's get started. We're going to work on the TRO Trading Wheels Wick Zone Indicator and the TRO Multimeter Wick Zone. Okay, here's the multimeter. It's called a multimeter because it shows you what's happening on all of the time frames or chart periods that MT4 allows, from M1, which is 1 minute, to the MN1, which is monthly. This indicator down here is the training wheels. It's for users who need a little help. That's why it's called training wheels. A lot of times it looks obvious, but sometimes you need some help. And sometimes the training wheels will remind more experienced traders to not get themselves into trouble. So right here you can see that it's between the wick zone. Now, what is a wick zone? A wick zone is, if you take the previous candle, this is the previous candle, this is the current candle. The wick zone, the upper wick zone, is between the top of the candle and the high, and the lower wick zone is between the bottom of the candle and the high. Now, this indicator here is the TRO HL5 indicator that's just set to show the high of the previous candle, the open, the close, and the low, because these will give you the wick zones. Now, in this case, the open is the top and the close is the bottom, but with this white candle will be just the opposite. And you can see here right now on the H1 it's gray. It's because it's between the two wick zones, and once again the training wheels tells you it's between the two wick zones. Now, if we shift over to the daily candle, we can see it's below the lower wick zone on the daily, the D1 or daily chart period. Now, wick zones. Why do we want to know about wick zones? Well, if you look at the daily, you can see if you would trade out of the wick zone in either direction, you would have a profit. That should be obvious to the trader. And you can look at the week. And you can see here, once again, trading out of the previous week's wick zone, it would have been definitely profitable short, and it would have been slightly profitable long. You would have had to been quick and make sure you have your stops in place. So, and we can take it all the way up to the monthly. And you can see here, trading out of the wick zone, price got into the upper wick zone and then came down, and then price entered the lower wick zone and then also continued to go down. So once again, with the wick zone, price leaves the wick zone at least 70% of the time, depending on which pair you trade. Now, if you like, we can switch pairs over to the euro and take a look. But once again, you can see here, highly profitable trade, trading out of that monthly wick zone. And let's look at the daily. You can see here that the previous day was practically a doji, but once again, popping out of the wick zone here, because see here on the D1, this is the wick zone down here. Now, of course, if you have the donational wick zone indicator, it would be shaded. The zones would be shaded. And we can drill down, look at the hourly. Once again here, popping out of the wick zone for profit. So you can look here on the multimeter, it tells you where price is in relation to the wick zone. So you can see where the potential trades lie and where you've kind of already missed out. The other thing is, you want to make sure you're not going to trade against the wick zone. So for example, you're already above the wick zone. Now, why would you want to trade against it? There's no reason to trade against it. Because the wick zone trade is you wait when price is in the zone, you trade when price leaves the zone. Because otherwise, you'll be like a Yale student and you'll be going short when you should be long and vice versa. So here it's obvious. You want to go long, you want to go short. You want to go long, you want to go short. And that's it in a nutshell. So hopefully this little tutorial will help you use these indicators in your trading. And as always, feel free to ask questions and I will try to reply as soon as I can. And remember, when you ask a question, it's always best to include a chart so I can see what you see, so I can answer your question to the best of my abilities. And fellow traders, as always, it's not what you trade, it's how you trade it. The Rumpled One, signing off.